Those of us who follow the Orioles and the Capitals and or the Wizards as we get ready for playoff season. We'll be broadcasting live from Toronto next week as I'm finally going to see some Canadian playoff hockey in the real Canada. I've got my passport all dusted off and ready to go. Dennis Kolatzos is here to join us because he is dusting off, I don't know how many mock drafts he's worked up here at this point, but, of all the people that I know walking the earth who don't cover sports for a living, who sell cars at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, you take the draft as seriously as anybody I know. You're really into this back in October, November, December. You could talk draft anytime. I think this is the time to really, when regular people start looking forward to this thing 2-3 weeks out. And I know you've got some strong opinions on all this, and you'll have some more on the SSV on Thursday or from 3 until 5. But, I kind of wanted to open up the forum for you on the draft. And, who do you like? Why do you like them? Because I know you put a lot of time into this, man.
Thanks so much, Nestor. Well, yeah, I do put a lot of time. I like to eliminate players early on and like to break down a lot of game film. Like the Ravens, I watch a lot of film. The Combine, it is what it is, but it causes certain prospects to rise in the underworld Olympics, as we call it. And look, just because a guy can run real fast doesn't mean he's got elusiveness, separation, instincts, hands, etc. And sometimes lesser teams fall in love with these type of prospects. But the Ravens, they've been missing a lot since 2010, particularly in the first 3 rounds, and they've got to hit it this year for sure. I think there's a lot of pressure on Ozzie Newsome, Eric DeCosta to get it right. They've got to start drafting players that are ready to play right away with no excuses and even injuries. I think we can throw that out the window this year, Nestor, based on Steve Bisciotti's press conference. I think all options are on the table, but they've got 4 picks out of this first 78. And if you can get a couple of starters out of those 4 picks, I think they'll be heading in the right direction for sure.
I know when I had a chance to talk to Ozzie and Eric and ask a question at the Liars Luncheon last week, my question really was about the depth and what they perceive the depth in the draft to be. I have seen so many mock drafts, more so predicting that they would take a wide receiver or an offensive tackle than even a rush edge or a corner, which I believe are greater needs for them. And that's not to say that, what Perryman's going to be or what they really believe he's going to be behind closed doors over there versus Wallace and the things they need to do around Flacco and how they would feel about the right tackle position with the guys that they currently have on the roster and whether Nick Mangold's going to show up. But I have believed all along they got to get to the quarterback better than they've been getting to the quarterback, and they certainly have to have some sort of B plan for Jimmy Smith because I love him when he's on the field. I hate it when he's not on the field.
Yeah, I think you make some good points, but the dilemma with the Ravens in this particular draft, Nestor, is that it's a very deep draft. In cornerbacks and edge rushers, you can get a really good player in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round, and the pickings are slim at tackle, center, and wide receiver. No surefire superstars once they get past the 1st or 2nd prospects. Although they have needs at cornerback, look, they got Brandon Carr in the offseason, which was a great signing. Bringing back Lardarius Webb, who was the 15th ranked safety by Pro Football Focus, was definitely a step in the right direction. So they do have some depth. They're not necessarily desperate to get that cornerback, but like you, they have to address it, the cornerback position across from Jimmy Smith. But I don't see them doing that until number 74 or 78. They need a center. They need a right tackle and a wide receiver. You can bet I can't see them taking a wide receiver at 16. They've never hit on a wide receiver. We know this. Torrey Smith was the best they've done so far, and that's not, with all due respect to Torrey, great person and good player, but I can't see him taking a wide receiver. So to me, Nestor, it's going to be either Ryan Ramczyk out of Wisconsin or Cam Robinson out of Alabama, unless someone from their top 5 to 8 players slides down to that Sweet 16 spot. The other thing is, this is such a deep draft. I don't see many trades happening. I see teams standing still and taking players like the Ravens at 16, 47, 74, and 78. So in my heart of hearts, by the process of elimination, I've got them taking a tackle at 16, a wide receiver at 47, and then 74 and 78, how the board drops down to them, be it center, cornerback, or edge. Because keep in mind, they still have Terrell Suggs, the lesser version of himself. They've got Matt Judon. Who knows what Brodsky Katfusi will be. Maybe Elvis Dumerville. He's not. They're not done building this roster just yet. But the players they picked have got to be day one starters, no questions asked.
Sir, heard some things about Derek Barnett as well, on the drop, and a lot of these players, like McKinley out of UCLA, Barnett, they're mocked everywhere from 6 to 26, quite frankly.
And that's a problem. That's really problematic when some teams value a player at 6 versus 26. The range is too big, and the problem is with the edge rushers, there's many of them. So again, number 26 might be better than number 6 at some point, and there's not that big of a drop in value. I think they have enough now on this team where they don't have to reach for anyone unless they see a bona fide superstar that drops. That in their estimation, that they've got to go up and get. But I wouldn't panic about a cornerback. I think, like you, I think they need another one relatively high to give them some insurance with Jimmy Smith, and also that rusher. But I can see them taking them at 74 and 78. But 16 and 47, they cannot afford to miss on these two players. Those two players have got to be blue chippers, and when the season opens up in September, they've got to be on the field making plays. If not, it's not going to be a good year for the Ravens.
He is Dennis Kalatzis. He does all things out of Coons Florida Security Boulevard. And, of course, they sponsor our WNST text service, so you get some breaking news out there between now and draft day, and certainly the Orioles moving guys up and back and forth. The tight end, O.J. Howard, a unique individual in the draft, right? Like the one tight end that's going to go high, and, people have compared him favorably to Ozzie Newsome and to Gronkowski and being a real difference-making kind of guy.
Yeah, but the problem with that one, Nestor, is it's not at a position of need. They've got 87 tight ends, and last year, Crocker Gilmore said they're the best tight end group in the NFL, and he pretty much said the same thing this year. I think they have enough at tight end, and who knows what they're going to do with the health of the tight end group. And but I just don't see him being a need pick. And for all the rhetoric about they always take the best player available, yes, it's the best player available at a position of need. If Mitch Trubisky, who was probably the best quarterback in the draft, is sitting there at 16, I guarantee you the Ravens are not going to take him. They still have Joe Flacco under center and other needs. So that pick, it has to be a need pick. And O.J. Howard, that would be a real head-scratcher for me. They may look at him as a big wide receiver, but still, it doesn't address – it's not what they need, Nestor. They've got too many other holes, at tackle, center, wide receiver, cornerback, and edge. That wouldn't make any sense at all to me.
You're worried about right tackle, right? I mean, if they pick a tackle here, that's not very sexy. And I know Ramchek's got a health issue with his hip. That would kind of shock me if they were to take that sort of a flyer. But I think their notion of playing another season with no running game and having that problem on the right side. We hear so much about the left tackle. A lot of the best rush edges line up on the right side.
Now, there's no question about it, Nestor. Defensive corners, they've gotten pretty smart over the years, and they're going to attack you at your weakest spot. They're going to put your best player on your weakest player on the line. And they just have got to address that position. The other thing is this: I think Calais Campbell said yesterday on TV that the best way you can help your offense is by having a great defense and a running game. And that's the thing with the Ravens; their defense is good enough. Now they couldn't get off the field in critical situations last year, and that cornerback, that edge rusher, cements this defense. You build a good running game around that, and you don't turn the ball over, you'll get in the playoffs. I think that's the formula. I'm not saying they should dilferize the offense because Joe's got a much bigger arm, but they'll help him a whole heck of a lot if they can keep him upright, if they can create holes for the running backs. That's why they brought in Greg Roman, right? Let's not forget about that. They made an investment in Greg Roman. He's not just going to sit there on the sideline and do nothing. He'll have input in the game plans. And now the question is, do they have an explosive enough running back to take advantage? But this running back by committee with Danny Woodhead and Terrence West and when Ken Dixon comes back, if the offensive line is opening holes, that'll make the running backs better, and it'll just make Joe Flacco and the passing game that much more efficient. Combine that with a strong defense and special teams. Look, they can eke out a 10-6, 11-5 season and get back in the playoffs.
The Dixon thing has to really piss off John Harbaugh, right?
I'm sorry?
The Dixon thing, him not being there.
That's a big one. That's huge.
Well, this keeps happening with Nick Boyle, and that's another issue about these guys not getting on the field doing knucklehead stuff. I mean, if Ray Rice doesn't punch his girlfriend in an elevator, maybe he's still half running the ball and would have had 3 or 4 more. But I mean, the things that have happened off the field, combined with the injuries, combined with the drafting of some players that haven't worked, that's what's made this whole thing playing a little bit of a mess, and Dixon's one of those guys that we talked about, and then he flashed this and flashed that, but I know he's not going to be running the ball before October. That much I know.
Yeah, which is a big, big problem, Nestor. That's why if Cook or Fournette or McCaffrey are there at 16, it wouldn't shock any one of us that follow the Ravens closely if they picked a game-breaking running back because, again, picking a game-breaking running back at 16 forces you to take a tackle at number 47. You've got to fortify that offensive line, and then maybe you double back and get a center in addition to bringing in maybe a veteran like Nick Mangold, getting some mileage out of him before he breaks down, because that's a big concern. Health hasn't been great for the last 3 or 4 years for Mangold, but if they invest in a running back, then they have to continue to invest in that offensive line, which, again, I think they have enough defense. It's not a bad strategy to get this running game going and make Joe Flacco deadly like he was back in 2012.
He is Dennis Kolatzis, covering all things draft. He'll be doing the SSV on WNST on Thursday from 3 until 5. You get Caps fever yet? This is when you start watching hockey, right? Right around now, right?
You know me well, whether it's the NBA, NHL.
I've known you a few years. I mean, you'll make some time here in April and May.
It's a lot of, look, I'm a very busy person, and I can't watch all those games through the regular season. But and I like Cap fans because I haven't seen this disaster as many times as the real hardcore Cap fans like yourself have. Look, I'm optimistic. They always seem to have the best regular season record, and once you get into the playoffs, for whatever reason, no matter who the coach is, they seem to fall apart. So hopefully they've got to break through at some point, and maybe this is the season.
From your lips to God's
maybe
ears.
This is the season. Look, I'm optimistic. I'm going to watch them and root for them real hard, and hopefully they can get that. It's not even a monkey anymore, is it, Nestor? It's got to be an 800-pound gorilla.
Feels that way. It gets a little heavier. I mean, I'll let you know. There's a question about whether I should grow a playoff beard or not. My beard's been weird. When my wife had cancer the first time, I kind of went full out with it. I don't know. It wasn't. It was. I don't look back at the pictures of that, and certainly not the Fu Manchu that I grew with Flacco and Dennis Pitta back in the day. I just think maybe facial hair is not my thing. Maybe I should just go with the baby face thing and leave that up to the Caps. I keep saying Ovechkin's going to look like a 90-year-old garden gnome. Right?
Well, this is true. If you're a wrestler, you'd be a baby face, not a heel for sure. But I had a 3-day beard the other day, and Margaret said, you got to take it off. I'm like, why? She says, you have way too much gray in it. You look like an old man. So that was the reason, and the vanity in me caused me to shave it off.
That's nice when your wife gives you that kind of love, that elder love. You know?
It's honest, brutally honest. They tell you how it is, and you can take it for what it is. And I took her advice. I don't want to look older than what I really am, which is old enough. So they're what the beard play off or not.
I once had a guy, I was having breakfast, and there was this very dark-skinned African-American guy who had one of those incredible, full, silver hair and beard. You know the look I'm looking, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that going on with a retired player. Earl Campbell looks a little bit like that now, right? Mm-hmm. And I said to him, that's kind of a wild look. He said to me, every one of them is wisdom. Every white hair is wisdom. Mm. So he said, I got a lot of wisdom going on. And I thought, I'm going to use that as my gray comes in. That story's probably 10 years old. And now that I get the gray coming in, and I'm on video out on on Facebook and YouTube. I see every gray hair, and that's just the ego and the old guys like you and me talking, right?
Well, I choose not to be that wise. Maybe I'm a wise guy, but I don't need to be that wise. Still way too soon for that. Give me another, if God bless me, another 30, 40 years. At that point, let's talk about wisdom. And my wife will also agree with that statement. I'm not the wisest guy in the world at times.
Marvin Lewis has accused me of dyeing my hair on 2 different occasions.
Has you really?
And for the record, I've never dyed my hair anything but blonde, just so you know.
Haters are going to hate. Yeah, I remember when you had your tips frosted. That was a while back.
But that's different than hiding the gray. Going a beard is weird, and going to Keith Hernandez, Walt Frazier way. Right?
Well, you're like me. I refuse to do that. I absolutely will not dye my hair. What you see is what you get, and it's starting to gradually get there. But look, I think it's good for us to look age appropriate and not try to hide and mask what Father Time is trying to do to us.
Well, I'm ugly enough. I don't need to get a beard involved in this, especially not when spring is springing. It'll mess up my Preakness pictures, but it would look good me drinking out of the Stanley Cup with like a with a Rip Van Winkle looking thing going on.
But you would stand out though because all the players would have playoff written. So who's that handsome guy there with that? He must be like one of the owners or something like that. So it'd be a good look for you.
Well, as long as I can own the Cup for an hour. I did have dinner with the Cup one time back in 1998. It's a long story. I'll tell you that. What's going on over Coons Florida Security Boulevard, Dennis Colatzos?
Well, we have a playoff environment here every single day of the year, Nestor. We're relentless. We never take our foot off the gas. We always have plenty of things to do. Plenty of people come in the marketplace every day. Things happen. Cars break down and need body work, etc. So we're always busy, always out there at the forefront, taking care of all of our members of the community. So very, very busy. Ford is still just great incentives and buying deep. You can get a really low interest rate these days. And all of our cars have heating and air conditioning, which both come handy this time of the year. And our service department, 47 bays, body shop, just added a third paint booth. We're just as busy as we can be. And thank you again for the partnership with WNST. A lot of listeners patronize us here every single day.
Well, I'm just hoping that I don't need the heated seats again until, October, November.
Yep, now's a great time also to check out your air conditioning system. It's like the old adage, a wise man fixes his roof while the sun is out. So make sure everybody that's listening out there, check out your AC systems to make sure that it's blowing cold, especially if you haven't turned them on this year. You don't want to get the first 90-degree day and the air's blowing hot.
Everyone wants a hot wife, but not that kind of hot wife, right?
This is true. Hot wife and a cool car for the spring and summer seasons for
hot
sure.
Wife in the summer is unhappy, if she's in the car.
No.
No doubt about that. Hey, great having you on, man. As always, we'll see you on Thursday as we inch up on the draft a couple weeks from now. This is the silly season. I won't be buying any of the rumors that I hear, right?
Yeah, now's the time we're starting to measure the hands and pay attention to that, and starting to really break down these players and figure out reasons as to take them off the draft board.
Well, I just hope they get it right this year. That's all I'm hoping
they
for.
Have to. I pray that they do. I like Ozzy, I like John, I like everybody over there. So hopefully they get it right, and the team is able to get off the field and score some timely points and give us another playoff season.
It's funny you'd say that. I like those guys over there.
That's
where we are now. 3 out of 4 years not met. I like those guys too. I know the next group might not be as good as this group. And,
also not as likable, and I'm sure that's a dilemma that Steve Bisciotti faces. It's a little bit more difficult when you have good men that you're working with, and sometimes you have to make a change. If you make a poor hire, like we're sometimes prone to do as human beings, and sometimes it's like you don't feel as bad. But when you have good family men like those guys that they have assembled, it makes it that much more difficult to make that decision.
Hey, man, great having you on as always. Set them straight out there and enjoy the spring now that it's sprung, Dennis. We'll be watching hockey. I'll be that guy.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Nestor. Be well.
I hope there's no pain in my spring, only pleasure and joy and cup and champagne and all that good stuff. We're headed off to Toronto next week, and we'll be broadcasting from north of the border, doing radio all next week, following the Caps up to Maple Leaf Land in the ACC, and the Red Sox are playing the Blue Jays up there next week, so we'll try to have a little fun. You can follow along at Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, all the places Dennis is. I am as well out on social media. And don't forget our WNST text service, if there's any breaking news at all, brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Just sign up and tune in, and you'll be on the list, as they say. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.